Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed viewers, I stand before you today to address a tragic and alarming event unfolding in Sweden, where recent riots in the immigrant-heavy neighborhood of Rosengard have ignited a firestorm of violence and unrest. The catalyst for these clashes, the burning of a Quran by an anti-Muslim protester. What followed was an outpouring of anger, destruction, and violence as a crowd of angry individuals took to the streets, setting cars on fire, throwing rocks at the police, and creating chaos in the city's public spaces. Let me make one thing clear from the outset. The act of burning a Quran, or any sacred text for that matter, is deeply disrespectful and harmful. It is an action that stirs emotions, fuels hatred, and divides communities. But what happened in Sweden in response to this event, and what we continue to see in this growing unrest, reveals a much deeper issue, one that has been festering in European societies for years. These riots are a reflection of the growing tensions between native populations and the immigrant communities that have been allowed to settle in these countries. When we look at the aftermath of the violence in Rosengard, we see a group of individuals who have been allowed to integrate into Swedish society, yet refuse to conform to the values and laws of the nation. Instead, we witness a culture of chaos, destruction, and defiance taking hold, with riots like these threatening to destabilize entire communities and undermine the very fabric of Swedish society. Sweden, once a beacon of liberalism and inclusivity, is now grappling with the consequences of failed integration policies. These violent protests, fueled by radical elements within immigrant communities, are a direct consequence of allowing large numbers of individuals to settle without providing the necessary structures for integration, cultural, social, and economic. Instead of fostering assimilation, Sweden has inadvertently created parallel societies where resentment festers, where radical ideologies take root, and where violent expressions of anger become the norm rather than the exception. This is not just a case of one isolated incident. No, these riots are merely the latest in a long line of disturbances that have plagued Sweden's immigrant communities. From the burning of cars to clashes between protesters and police, the pattern is clear. When the country's values of law, order, and peaceful coexistence are challenged by those who have not integrated, the result is chaos. The Swedish government must take a long, hard look at what is happening within its borders. Allowing unchecked immigration without ensuring the capacity for integration is not just irresponsible, it is reckless. This is not about blaming immigrants for being immigrants, but about recognizing that when policies fail, both the immigrants and the native population suffer. Immigrants need support to integrate, to understand and respect the culture, values, and laws of their new home. And the native population needs reassurance that their country's safety, stability, and social contract will not be undermined by those unwilling to adapt. What we are witnessing in Sweden is not an isolated event. It is a warning, one that should be heeded not just by Sweden, but by every nation facing similar challenges. If we do not confront the breakdown of social order and the failure of integration, we risk allowing a small minority to shape the future of a country, while the majority watches in frustration, confusion, and fear.